So, hello, welcome back to my channel. Oh God, it never gets old. I don't know why. So today I want to talk about my favorite topic ever and my life goal in life, which is rest. Again, I know it's a very common topic that I will probably keep coming back to. I want to talk about how rest is not doing nothing. You are not doing anything when you are resting, because I think just because we as a personality, as a soul, is trying not to do much of physical activity doesn't mean your body is not doing anything. When you are resting, your body is going into cleanup mode most of the time. Your body going into digestive mode a lot of the time. Your body going into restoration period a lot of the time. It's like, I think I've said this before. It's like your in your brain you have a glymphatic cells. I think yes, glymphatic cells that only activated when you are asleep, and that glymphatic cells' purpose is to clean your brain, basically. So you can't have your brain clean if you don't sleep, and I think that's probably where most of a lot of diseases in the brain comes from. So when people say you sleep all the time, yes, I need to clean my brain. That's your excuse. That means like you need to, because like that's basically saying when you charging your phone up, like your phone is not doing anything when you're charging it. It's increasing its battery life. It's trying to give you more energy so you can do more activities. But one activity is that you don't have any participation mark for is that bit, right? So yeah, so resting is not doing, it's not doing I don't know how to say it. Yeah, resting is doing something. Resting is your body doing something. It's just that you are not included in active way. Maybe that's why people are so uh, annoyed with it, is because they feel left out. It's like your body is doing a lot of things, but you're not included in it. So that's why they're so offended by it. A lot of people are so egotistical. They're like, oh, I am the center of the universe, so I have to be included in everything. And especially like these days, right? I'm trying to test my body again. I do this like every year or so. I'm trying to test my body whether I can work out or not. A few years back, I tried to do weights, because weights for women, especially middle-aged women like me, is very important. Otherwise, your bone get brittled. It becomes very light and easy to break. So the from what I've read, the solution to this is, or the prevention to this is to carry weight. And not a lot of weight. It's like you just have to carry weight or heavy things. And I think, and so I try to do carrying weight like this. The weight that is quite heavy, I have this weight. I don't know if I can show you. I don't want to have any accident whatsoever. But I was trying to do this weight in previous year. So this is about 8 kilograms, I think. So yeah, so that's 1.5, and that's two. So that's two and two, that's four. So that's 7 kg. So 2, 2, 1, 1. So that's like two plus four plus. So I tried to do this about 4 years ago, and of course, like I'm not just doing it with one hand. I usually do it with two hands, and I try to do squats and stuff. And every time I try to do that, the next day or so, I would get a very severe reaction in my body. And I realized like what that was. That was like a massive mast cells uh, activation. So because I have Hashimoto, this is like before I found out that I have Hashimoto. I'm trying to fix things so that I don't. See, even now I'm still like out of breath when I do that. But so yeah, so I get like really bad reaction from exercise. So I try like every year to see whether I'm still having high intolerance to exercise. Last year, no, 2023, I still do. So I'm trying to 2025. I'm trying to check out whether I still do or not. And the past 4 days, 5 days, I notice I can increase my intensity of exercise and not getting, the reaction, the intolerance reaction that I used to get back in the back previous years. And but this time around, I'll make sure that I have a gap in between so that my body recovers. And I think I did that too in the past, but I think most people, well, no, in my past self me would probably just keep pushing through because I would believe that, resting is for the weak and you should just ignore any sign of weakness when you're basically being shown that your body is disagreeing with what you're doing. And so I just rested the idea of high intensity exercise for long period of times. Every time I try test it and then it will get a reaction, so I would just lay it off. But I will still test it like I do this year. And this year I look I had an improvement basically the past few days. I realized, oh, my body is reacting okay now. Like probably there will be a limit. Maybe it will probably come like when I do maybe a week worth of this kind of exercise and then my body will crash. But then I will know that that's an improvement from one day not being able to do high intensity exercise for one day to leaping into being able to high intensity, a bit of high intent for me, a high intensity for me, not high intensity for other people. Okay, high intensity for me, for this body, for like improvement from one day to a week. So, and I didn't build that tolerance by going hard at it, by pushing the threshold, by doing the intensity workout every single time, but rather I'm doing it by laying off the exercise altogether. Don't get me wrong, I still do exercise. I still have like my gardening, which means that I have to carry weight for water, the water the watering can, and that's pretty heavy, but it doesn't happen every day. It happens like periodically. And I also make sure that if I'm outside and I walk at least 20 minutes. So one of the reasons why I go grocery shopping so much last year was to do that, right? To make sure that I am out of the house and do 20 minutes of walking, like 15 minutes there, 15 minutes back. And that's not counting off what actually being done during the actual shopping period. So that's not counting those steps. It's just the going to and coming back from is gonna be 20 minutes, and that's 20 minutes of exercise. And that's important for me, like because I am my body is not allowed to do high intensity uh, as I wanted to because it will give me like a massive cramps and my limbs would feel like they're being chopped off and like basically cut off from circulations. And I noticed the past week or so that I haven't had that reaction. And I feel like it's because I listen to the body of needing that rest a lot. And again, I think in my in my practical brain, or maybe even from normal people's perspective, you can be thinking, oh, you're lazy, you're not exercising, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. But I think one of the greatest gift that I can receive as a person of a neurodivergent um, neurotype is the fact that as you get older, you stop listening to the outside world. Like we weren't really listening to the outside world much anyway, but it's just much more solidifying. because in when I was younger, I probably would listen a lot more because I knew that my radar inside is a bit different than other people, and it's quite hard not to go ahead with a certain societal pressure at times, not all the time. Um, with you don't want to be an outcast, basically, so you tend to follow sometimes other people's expectations or other people's what they say. But as you get older, that kind of thing have evidence of the contrary, meaning like you have accumulated a lot of times where you listen to other people and the result did not serve you well. So you started to look elsewhere. You started to ask yourself, maybe if I should follow my instinct and my own guidance, let's see what happens. So once you start doing that and you start seeing different results and you're collecting different data, you are more likely to follow your own guidance and your own inner speak, basically inner guidance. Anyway, so yeah, so it wasn't like if I follow other people's advice, I probably would overdo and overstretch myself a lot. I would just keep walking every day for 2 hours, and I'll because that's the only, that's the only exercise that doesn't get me into a severe reaction of my body. But I slacked off. I just did nothing. I just rested a lot more, and I found out that when I do that, I can do a lot more high intensity. Like my heart rate doesn't go up when I jumped on a trampoline for 15 minutes, for example. While in the past, if I do that, I would not be able to get out of bed for like by because my body would be in pain for the next few days. It would feel like your whole body is being drained. Like the blood is just drained out of your whole arteries and your veins. But the past few days, I've been able to do it every 2 days or so for 15 minutes, and I still maintain my breathing. I'm not laboring in my breathing, and my limbs feels like they're still intact. And I realize I think it's because I managed to put rest first and not exercise first. And so I think resting is not doing nothing. Resting is you need resting is is part of the complete picture in whatever that is you need to do. Because if you don't do it, then there is no improvement. I think I remember like someone basically shared a study about when university students learn about new things with a subject. It's better if they learn for 1 hour, sleep, wake up the next day, learn for another hour, sleep, and then wake up the next day, learn for an hour, sleep. When basically do that, like, so you learn by a chunky bit, chunky bit, chunky bit, and in between you sleep, and they retain information better. They'll learn more rather than for the students who studied for 5 hours for that one day. And I think the reasoning was because the brain managed to extract what needs to be extracted from that day's learning and kind of discarded the rest. So it's like a pruning thing that happens every day and it retains it in your memories. And I've in and that's what happens when you sleep. And I feel like, oh, okay, so resting is not passive. It's just passive for you, the personality, but it's not a passive things in terms of the process. I think like resting is like this is not an accurate metaphor, but maybe resting is like ordering fast food, Not ordering fast food, just ordering things in general, ordering food in general. It's like you order something online, maybe you're doing your online shopping, and then you order. That's your active bits, that's you learning, this is what I want to have. this is the knowledge that I want to have, this is the muscle that I want to have, this is the exercise that I'm going to do. And so you just pick and choose, and then you do your work basically, and then you pay, you know, you pay money for it. And then, in real life, you pay your using your energy, using your brain power, using your eating the right food, doing all of these things that you need to do to be able do to gain whatever it is that you need to gain. And then you pay your cash, and after that, what do? You wait until the result comes to you. You wait until that product is delivered to you. You don't go into the warehouse and pick your product yourself, pack it yourself, send it yourself, and receive it yourself. You don't do that. You're paying money so that that can be done for you. And I feel like resting is like that, so that it's a lot of things is being done for you. And I think until we have that knowledge in our frontal conscious brain, like in our awareness, we don't we were always going to see it as nothing. We were always going to consider it as less value than active uh, actions, which is not true. I don't feel it's more or less. Maybe in some sense it's probably more. It's probably more efficient. It probably is more productive resting, and it's more accurate. It's sharper doing all of these things, resting. And it's also, I think it also says a lot about trust, right? Like trust that you will have it because it's being taken care of. Because it's not like, yeah, did I just sound like a dumb person there? So yeah, resting is not weakening you. Resting is strengthening you. So resting is building something from the inside out. So resting is essential. Resting is superpower. I think I remember about stories where there is a marathon runner that one of the biggest thing that they do is to sleep for 12 hours, to make sure that they sleep for at least 12 hours so that their body recovers. So even if professional athlete knows that resting is not resting, resting is basically part of uh, that chunk of performance. Well, I feel like why don't people in the professional world do it too? It's like, yeah, you should put resting as part of your plan. Like you have to block it out in your schedule, especially if you're a type A personality. Is like, we have to go, 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 always be productive. If you're not resting, you're not going to be productive. So that's that. Haha, I am always going to be an advocate for resting, especially because I've seen the result now. I'm like, okay, it definitely was working. Like, definitely is working. And monitoring yourself, monitoring. Oh, this is a random thing, not connected to this particular topic, but a while back I did this accent checker. You can. It's like an AI thing, Oracle accent checker. I was watching TikTok about it, and every time I do it, in most cases, it's kind of pointed me out to like I'm a Filipino speaker. I'm also a Thai speaker, and I feel like, oh, might be right. Like I might be having a lot of Filipino accent in there. Anyway, just a random thing that I did. But yeah, I think, and also like I know I'm not really conscious about this. I'm not really like clear or have an absolute clarity. But there are a lot of things in my life that just happened because I stopped using it for a bit. And then when I start using it again, suddenly I am better at it. So I think that's also the power of rest, of giving it, like, you know, just leaving it for a little bit and not touching it. And I think there's also that philosophy, I think by Rumi, that says to master something, you have to learn it for 6 years and unlearn it for 6 years. And I think that's saying something, right? It's saying that inaction is part of the whole process. Like, to master anything, you have to have the active side and you also have to have the inactive side. So that's not a separation. Like, there is no separation. You have to do active and non-active as well. Now, maybe it works with languages as well. But for me personally, I think it works the other way around, because my way of working languages usually starts with inactive first for a long period of time, and then I would start doing active. Inactive means like you're just listening. So you're developing your listening skill first, your receptors listening, so you can understand, but you can't speak, meaning like you're not fluent in whatever language that you're trying to learn, but you can understand. And I think that's the inactive side. Um, and then you build your active side, which is your speaking side. But those two are usually work hand in hand. And you can see this too, like people who are deaf, usually, even though if they're not mute, if they're deaf but they're not mute, you can tell like their feedback system is disrupted, so the way they speak would be very different than someone who is hearing. um, so yeah, technically they should sound the same, but because their feedback is not the same with us hearing people, their the way they view the world is different, and therefore the output is also different. I guess it's just like saying rest is a pair with action, and they're not separate things. They are an essential part of action, in a separate, it's a important part of mastering anything, including manifestation, of course, which of course I still have difficulty doing. But anyway, that's enough talking about rest for the I don't know, the nth time this year. And yeah, thanks for listening to me, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hey, everyone is there. My name is Valerie, and I'm a digital creator. I do a lot of other things on the internet as well. So if you want to see, check out the links in the description box below, and you can see what you can see what I do on the internet, and maybe you can also check out how you can make money and stuff like that, or micro invest with all the links down below. Bye, everyone.